If you're struggling in Black Ops 6 Zombies, don't worry, because I'm going to give you 35 ways to instantly get better at the mode. And I promise there is at least a few things in here you probably don't think about while playing, so let's get into it. When playing Terminus, the amalgams can be a really big issue for a lot of players, so make sure you always have Deadwire on your main gun. This will give a massive damage bonus to them specifically. In fact, every single special type in Black Ops 6 has a weakness, so use Fire or Brain Rot for the Abomination, or just Fire for the Mangler, and Frost for the special Vermin and Parasites. To get the most out of your jet gun on Liberty Falls, wait until you're almost at 0, then use the remaining 1 to 15 charge to use the full ammo explosion to finish out the horde. But you need to be careful when using that alternate shot, and make sure you get the entire horde, since after you use it, the charge shot locks you into an animation for a couple of seconds, making you unable to sprint or use field upgrades. Always try to keep a score streak on you, like the Mangler Injector or Helicopter, in case you get cornered. You can use this basically as a get out of jail free card if you can get it off fast enough. When you're trying to train against super sprinters in the upper rounds, practice being able to consistently slide backwards and around corners while quickly shooting and turning away from the zombies. This is the best and pretty much only way to maintain distance from the increased zombie speed as the game goes on. So when you're specifically trying to get the melee Macchiato calling card, what a lot of people haven't realized is that you can actually pack a punch your melee weapon. Simply hold your melee attack to pull it out, then walk to your nearest upgrade station to upgrade its rarity. You can even get ammo mods on top of that. When you're making your Gobblegum loadouts, look to set up combos. For example, gums like Crate Power and Wonder Bar pair perfectly to give you an easy upgraded wonder weapon. In this game, you can use the dive mechanic from an elevation to jump over hordes of zombies when you need to readjust your train. And don't worry about taking fall damage, since you barely take any of that in this game. When you're doing a solo boss fight on Liberty Falls or Terminus, end the current round right before going in. Now if you go down and lose your self-revive, you can get one do-over with getting it back. This is done through save and quitting. The easiest way to deal with the massive amount of manglers inside of this game is to first focus on the cannon. It's a less obvious weak point, and when you do enough damage, they will no longer be able to shoot blasts at you, even before they're dead. When you're running trains, you cannot be afraid to actually take some damage. This game has a massive amount of poke damage coming from all sides, but you have plenty of health with your armor and jug, so don't be afraid to take a few hits as you run through a horde in order to get a better train up. When playing co-op with your friends, do your best to convince everyone to split doors as you move through the map. Overall, it'll keep your team more balanced, and this version of Zombies is entirely meant to be played that way. Seriously, inflation is out of control. If you aren't looking to get some challenges done, there is pretty much no reason to use your melee nowadays. Unlike the older games, headshots and critical kills now give more points than a melee or knife kill. When you're doing the Easter egg and high round runs, set up different Gobblegum packs for different parts of the game, since now you can swap between them without any punishment. So you can have one to help you get set up, and then one for the boss fight. Be consistently looking out for keys and SAM trials. Most of the time the trials are relatively easy, and they can net you a free gun upgrade or even wonder weapons from the simple tasks. But on a similar note, don't focus too hard on trying to only use the ray gun. Weapons like the upgraded GS45s will be much easier to obtain and still carry you through most types of runs. Plus the ammo will be much cheaper. And it's the Mustang and Sally, so who doesn't want to use that? As you're leveling up your weapons, make sure to throw whatever attachments you can on, even if they're not the best. Unlike Cold War, when you buy a gun off the wall, it will have all of the changes you made in your gunsmith build. Just make sure to mark it as a zombies build. And with that last tip, throw a suppressor on every single gun that you can. This gives increased salvage drops and is one of, if not the best in the game. Going back into the actual game, start focusing on and learning to use the mantle mechanic inside of your training routes. Black Ops 6 really pushes this type of movement in its map design, and once you get comfortable with it, you can create a lot of easy and creative training routes. Specifically on Liberty Falls, if you're wanting to train instead of using the jet gun camping strategy, get into the habit of triggering the massive dark aether traps every time they're up. You get points back from them, and the manglers will always spawn in the same couple of areas, so you can use the time that the zombies are dying to burst down the bothersome elites. When using the Aether Shroud Specialist specifically, remember there is a slight delay from when you press the button to when you go invulnerable, meaning you have to pop it a little bit earlier than you might think or you'll still take it down. And this next one feels weird to say, but smoke grenades are some of the best equipment in Zombies. You can use this when trying to do small Easter egg steps like the Valve and Liberty Lanes, or when trying to start an exfil. This is because when you stand inside of it, it will make all of the zombies run away from you. It is surprisingly broken. As you're running through hordes, pop your armor refill as you take the first of many hits. This will give you more health as you'll constantly refill your armor while you move through it, and can save you in more situations than you might think. Getting your gun to legendary with salvage is often just as, if not more, important than getting a pack-a-punch tier upgrade. Just make sure to focus most of your early salvage on upgrading your weapon right when you get the one you want, and not spread it out across multiple weapons. You also want to take some time to learn a lot of the extra point and salvage Easter egg on the maps. Most of them are fairly simple and can provide a good amount of extra cash. While the perk augments are fantastic for the most part, make sure you're also researching the main field upgrade and ammo type you're using. I would say to focus on Aether Shroud and Napalm Burst for my recommendations. Things like the double use for Aether Shroud are huge for high round runs, and having napalm damage to boss zombies is really good for fixing Black Ops 6's main complaint. Now I'm also going to contradict something I said in another video here, because while Turtle Shell is still the best jug augment for normal Easter eggs in casual games, if you're going to go for around 50 plus runs, I would actually recommend not taking it. At a certain point in the high rounds, the zombies become incredibly strong to the point where even vermin on Liberty Falls can two-shot you if your armor isn't covering your front. If you ever do need a quick break when you're playing in co-op, or if you're just in a tight spot and nearby one in solo, any interactable such as the bank vault on Liberty Falls will make you ignored by all zombies while in it. Just be careful not to get kicked out for being AFK. The joys of always online gaming. When you're playing in co-op, the zombies in this game are much stickier to whoever they're chasing than other titles. You can often run right by a horde someone else has to get a revive or just to get around them. To add on to my point about gun rarities from before, make sure you're really only focusing on upgrading one at a time throughout the game. So instead of getting 2 pack 2s and 2 blues, go ahead and focus on getting 1 legendary and 1 triple pack gun. This will make your games much easier than if it was spread out. When you're killing your hordes, try to make sure you get all of the horde in one go, or at least most of it. Just not killing zombies as they spawn. This will make the spawns feel much less crazy and be a lot easier to keep your train consistent. Once you get to a certain point or round in the game, if you want to swap your gun, you need to make sure you have enough points to fully upgrade whatever weapon you get back to where it was. I see so many people do this without having points prepped on a high round, and that is going to lead to an instant game over or just a miserable time for you as you continually go down. Now, exfilling can be very hard in this game with how little time they give you, but if you have an attack helicopter with you, you can easily kill all 50 zombies you need in a couple of seconds. So just prep that before you start the timer. When you're doing boss fights in co-op, make sure everyone has a self-revive. That seems obvious, but make sure you only use it once the entire team gets wiped. That way one person can use it to get up and res the rest of the team, saving the self-revives. And then also, of course, use it if you're about to bleed out. That was 35 techniques and ways to instantly get better at zombies. So if you're still here, please consider subscribing. It would mean a whole lot. We're on the road to 2,000, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.